Thank you so much. We have prayed. So let me share my screen so that we continue with the session. I've also invited several of my friends. So I'm seeing them streaming in. It's a pleasure to see all of you who have joined from Candid Hope Group so that you're part of this. Thank you. So again, Jemima confirmed that you can see my screen. Or someone else can confirm that.
Yes, you can see it. Thank you.
Good. So I was requested to come and share on biblical parenting in the digital age. And the organization that I work with is called Candid Hope, a faith-based initiative whose mandate is to participate in transformation of lives in our family, society, and the nation. We want to see transforming communities at all times at Candid Hope, transforming communities where parents do what they need to do, children are doing what they need to do, the government is doing what it needs to do, and every other person is pulling their weight so that we can see a society that is better than what we have today. And we do this by empowering the young generation and parents or caregivers in the society with holistic skills for that desired change. The change is holistic transformation. That is what we look forward to. We have a few pillars here. So we have the youth pillar, where we have 3 programs. We have the Next Gen Boys, where we do mentorship for boys from age 6 to age 17. We have Inara Girls, again 6 to 17. And we have Ujana Forum, where we handle the age group of 18 to 25. And this we mostly do in universities and colleges. And right now we have a few programs coming up in partnership with people like Ernest Wamboy, if you know him, who is passionate about sexuality so that we can help our young people in understanding sexuality and how we can help them stand up. So that's Ujana Forum. Then in the family, that's part of what we are doing today, capacity building for parents. We have done a number of them, and this is just one of them. I would not want to dwell on that. And we have community engagements where we are big on pro-life conversation and some other community engagements like Pa de Girl Initiative, Panther Boy Initiative, just ensuring that we bring that holistic transformation in the community. And of course, mental health advocacy and many other aspects of pro-life, we handle it at the advocacy level. But majorly, we do mentorship and parenting programs as we continue to progress. And we have worked in several places, as you can see there on the screen. These are just but a few places that we have worked, residential places, schools, churches, colleges, and universities. And every month, we have mentorship programs for young people that we run. And we are based in Nairobi. So that's a brief of Candid Hope. Everything we do is from the point of faith. So allow me then stop sharing my video so that we are clearer. So why are we here, dear parents? I was asked to come and share on digital parenting. I'm a parent of 2 and a mentor of many people. So parenting in the digital era is about raising children in a world that is shaped by technology. And the digital era defines how we communicate, work, learn, parent, and how we live. It involves protecting, teaching, and supporting children to make wise choices online while preparing them to be thoughtful and responsible citizens. And I can also add, preparing them to make wise choices offline, not only online space. And the goal of this session is not to eliminate the use of technology. We need technology in everyday life. But the goal is to guide healthy and responsible and balanced digital habits as we deal with our children. And I was told that majority of the parents in the group were teenagers. So I would want to state clearly from the beginning that my presentation leans more towards teenagers. But if you're a parent of a preteen, you'll be able to pick 1 or 2 things that can help you in the parenting journey. Some food for thought here. Now, receptionists around the world were asked about the first thing teens look for when they get to a hotel or restaurant. And the answer from 90% of them was they look for internet password. Now we are talking about children. What about parents? You go to a hotel and one of the prerequisites of deciding whether you want to stay there is the Wi-Fi password. And it's a very good thing because without it, work would literally stop. And we have introduced our children to a lot of digital materials, the phones, the tablets, and they need internet to operate many times, especially in the online space that they would want to go to. Our schools right now is about online space. The workspace today is about online space. Like for me with my laptop, I can work anywhere. So that tells us that there is great value when we talk about the online space. But again, it comes with dangers, and especially to our children, it comes with serious dangers that we have to be intentional as parents to ensure that we guard our teens and help them navigate the challenges that come in the online space. Now, what are some of the concerns about the online space, especially to us parents of teens? I would want to summarize them into 4 C's, the concerns of parents. For those who are taking notes, you can take notes. The 4 C's. The first C is content. The second C is contact. The third C is conduct. And the last C is commerce. Content, contact, conduct, commerce. Let's start with the first one, content. Now, parents are worried, at least the ones that I've interacted with and the ones that I've read about. I don't know this space though. So parents are worried that exposure, their children are likely to be exposed to age inappropriate or explicit content. And when you talk about this, we talk about things like pornography. You know, there are also illegal content that they are likely to be exposed to, harmful content like pornography we have talked about, fake and misleading news. Right now, whatever kind of news you want, you'll find it in the online space. Toxic ideologies, like one of the things that is happening in the online space to our young people is recruitment into devil worship and such kind of things, and radicalization of our children through information. Information has power, and every other person knows that young people are found in the online space. So everyone is grabbing that online space to ensure that they bring influence and stamp the authority in the lives of our young people. So parents are worried about self-harm like suicide, violent content, extremism, you know, and this is usually revealed through signs like tech addiction. You have this teen or preteen or young adults, and they have what we call they compulsively check their phones. Like they can't rest 1 minute before grabbing their phone and just finding out where their phones are. Gaming obsession. When I mentor young people and interact with their parents, one of the big things is my teen is addicted to gaming. Steve, what do I do? Anxiety when disconnected, you know, instant gratification from scrolling, the likes, the fast-paced content like TikTok. I meet a number of parents and they also say that, Steve, how do you navigate this TikTok thing? I think I can't just manage. How things move so fast in the TikTok, I do not know. I don't understand. You know, yet that is what our young people love. You'll find them in those fast-paced systems. And again, you'll note through performance, like when the performance of the child in school begins to change, like fatigue, especially in the morning. A child is supposed to wake up and they're too fatigued in the morning. You wonder whether they were just doing some great exercises at night. So this can sometimes lead to a number of things. And depending on the content that our children are exposed to in the online space, it can either boost their esteem or lower their esteem. It can either give them confidence in their body image or lower that confidence or destroy it completely. that constant comparison, when they see the curated images online, they think like that is the cool life that they want. So exposure to that content is a worry to every parent. What are my children exposed to? So the first one is content, but the second one is contact. Now, when you talk of contact, who do they interact with in the online space? And this interaction with strangers or people that they can't put a face to presents a risk, like online child grooming, preparing children for sex or sexual interactions in the online space. I mean, through the online space and getting them from the online space into the physical space. There's a case we are handling of a child that has been introduced to sex and sexual content through one of the trusted friends in the online space. And they have been friends for some time, close to a year now. And there are people that they have never met physically, but what's going on is child grooming. So this person offers this child money here and there in the online space, and the person has ensured that this child now trusts him. So in the process, they begin sharing nudes, asking this child, please take a photo of yourself all naked and share. And would you love me to come over so that we can touch one another? The kind of conversation that was going on there was leading towards a physical meetup where they can now begin to engage in gayism and just such kind of thing. So the online space is a very interesting space. Cyberbullying, identity theft, and robbery. Parents have to be very careful right now, especially who your child interacts with in the online space, because the robbers have come up with a strategy, and it's not a new thing. They have had it before, but it seems like in Nairobi, they are putting more effort into it, where they become friends in a very nice way and they're very patient with your child. And then over time, they ask your child, hey, can I come and visit you? What times do your mom and dad come back home? Oh, by the way, what's the number plate of their car? They ask those details in a very patient manner. By the time the child doesn't even realize that they have given so much details, that this detail is leading towards destruction of their family. So before long, you realize that the robbers have come. They have come through the gate as friends to your child. And before long, they're in the house, and at gunpoint, they rob you, they kill if they want to kill. And a lot of mess happens as a result of a simple interaction on the online space. So contact, but also too much time on the screen, which causes addictions. And there could also be effects like physical inactivity, sleep disturbance, and attention span issues. Right now, we are dealing with children that have very short attention span. Sometimes we go to mentorship in a school. A lesson is 45 minutes, and the teachers say that, Steve, now, if we can condense your presentation to 20 minutes, then they take a break for 10 minutes, then we can do another 20 minutes. That will even be too much. But let's try and see what happens. Now, that is the conversation we even have in schools. So if the teachers themselves have already noted this, then that tells you that even the lessons themselves take a very short time. Attention span issues. So the teens may suffer silently, leading to anxiety, depression, mental health issues, and even social withdrawal as a result of these things that are happening. So remember, we are talking about some of the concerns of parents in the online space for those who are joining. And we have talked about number 1C, which is content. And we have talked number 2C, which is contact. So number 3C is conduct. There's something called the digital footprint. Our children need to know that their online activity have impact today, tomorrow, and the days to come. We are in an era where employers even use AI to trace the online activity of a potential employee. I've gone for an interview where I was told some of the comments that I made about a certain issue. And that was part of the interview, that you made this comment. So did you make it consciously, or is that your stand, And it brought a lot of conversation about my values as a person. And thank God that the conversation was about faith and it was an organization that was not keen on faith. So in a way, I lost the job opportunity because of my stand on faith matters, but I was proud that that could be traced to ensure that it forms part of the interview. Now, imagine if your boy or girl keeps negative messages and information in the online space. What would happen one day when employers or potential employers are employing these technology tools to trace how they have been behaving in the online space over time? So we need to tell our children that what they post today, how they react to people's posts, the kind of communication they have will impact their today, tomorrow. And some of them can be very bad that they can be denied job opportunity. The conduct in the online space, every parent is concerned. What are they talking about? What kind of messages are they passing with one another or with their friends? The fourth one is commerce. Commerce is about concerns like online purchases and scams, online gambling, in-game or in-app purchases. 2 years ago, I was conned. I was buying, there was an organization that was calling itself Kilimall, and they had copy-pasted the way the Kilimall website looks like. They even went and created a Facebook page that looks exactly like Kilimall with the logos and everything. Then there are these guys who are kind and they're calling, oh, okay, have you ordered this? Yes. So we have a discount and it's running on this. But the condition is you pay a half, then we deliver, then you can pay the other half. My friends, I paid full. I did not wait to pay a half. It was close to 30K for the item that I was buying. As soon as I sent the money, they acknowledged receipt. And up to now, I'm still looking for them 2 years down the line. That number can't go through. And that is how I lost this 30,000. I work with teens a lot, and I can tell you a matter of fact, part of the money that you give to your teens, some of you give teens pocket money. Some of that money have been lost in the online purchases, but they don't have the confidence to tell you. But me as a mentor, they tell me because they know it's a safe space that that information cannot reach their parents. So we must guide our parents about this commerce thing in the online space. But every parent, again, is concerned. Will they use every resources in the online space in a responsible and informative manner that will keep them safe? As I started, dear parents, remember I said, the goal of this session is not to take the children away from the online space. No, that online space will be there going forward. The goal is to ensure that we guide them on how to navigate this space so that they can make responsible choices that they can take ownership of. The dilemma again of every parent is, where do I draw the line between keeping these teens safe and respecting their boundaries, privacy, and independence? Where is the line? I would want my teen to be independent, but again, I would want to be on top of things, to check and just to guide. But I can't guide if I don't understand. And for me to understand, I have to get into that space. But if I become too much, they will feel like I'm infringing into their rights. So where is the line? So the next part of this conversation is for us to try and see, can we draw this line? But I want to shift gears a little bit and ask you a question. But before I shift gears, let me ask you a question and you can put it in the chat box. We have, let's say we have 24 hours, yes, in a day. And out of the 24 hours, averagely 8 hours is taken by sleep, assuming all of us sleep averagely 8 hours. And I know most of us sleep less. Yes, that's okay. So the question is, how much time do you spend as a parent in the online space out of the 24 hours? I know some of you will say, but I work online, so does that count? No. If you work online, don't count that one. I want you to quantify the amount of time you take when you know you are not working, but you are in the online space? How much time do you averagely take? Let me see in the chat box. Out of 24 hours. Catherine says 1 hour out of 24 hours. What a discipline. Michael says 1 hour out of 24 hours. Take away the time you use for work, the rest of the time that you are online. Ruth says 5 hours. Mutete says about 2 hours. Ravi, about 3 hours, almost 4 hours, Judy. I'm waiting for the rest so that we move forward. How much time do you take in the online space? Victor, about 2 hours. Rispa, about 2 hours. So far, there's no 0 hour or there's no less than an hour. Kui, about 5 hours. Chege, 2 to 3 hours. All right, I see. Now, let me shift gears. Parents, it's not now about you, your son or daughter. How much time do they spend in the online space? For them, let's say in a scale of up to 12 hours. How much time? Your child, how much time? Christine says 3 hours. Okay. How much time does your child spend in the online space averagely out of 12 hours? I'm waiting for responses. Ravi, 2 hours. RKM, 2 to 3 hours maximum. Now, if you're not sure, also say, I am not sure. Esther says 2 hours. How much time does your child spend in the online space? 2 to 3 hours weekdays and 7 hours weekends. Thank you, Catherine, for even going ahead to separate the two. I'm waiting for a few more so that we move on. Victor says 1 hour. Your child, how much time in the online space? Ruth, weekends, 2 to 3 hours. Left unreminded, they can do 8+ hours. Thank you, Michael. Those with gaming sites, way to send 6 hours on weekends. Thank you, Mercy. You can see when I'm not around, the whole day, Victor. Judith, weekday 1 hour, weekends 8 hours. Doreen, 1 hour, 6 hours on weekend. Weekdays, none. Weekends, 2 to 3 hours. Mercy, a lot. 4 hours weekdays, weekends almost all day. It has been 7 hours, but after training, I am regulating to 0. That's early. Okay. Thank you, dear parents, for responding to that. Let's continue. So those are our parents and those are us. So let's ask ourselves questions. So who are we dealing with? Remember, I said we are tending towards teens because that's the average that I was asked to share on. So who are these teens? Number one, they are Gen Zs. So that means digital native. That's part of them. They can't imagine a world without the internet. They have a strong sense of individual expression. I've interacted with several parents who tell me that, hey, I don't know the confidence. I don't know where this child got the confidence to stand and ask me a question. And I know some of you or most of you grew up in a space where you can't imagine standing against your parent to even ask a question when they have told you to do something. You do first, kesi badai. So they have a strong sense of individual expression. They're open-minded and often associate with progressive values. They will ask you tough questions. But of course, they have a short attention span, as we said. They are self-drivers who deeply care about their peers. if there is something about community, is Gen Zs. Most of them believe that my brother, regardless of the tribe, is my brother. My friend, regardless of the tribe, is my friend. So their community goes beyond the tribal divide. They strive for a diversity or inclusivity. I mean, they value relativism. It depends on you. I mean, if he's a bad person, but I like A, B, and C about him or her, we can just be friends. I'll just avoid the bad things, but I can concentrate on the good things. Most teens tell me like that I love him because though he's a liar, but he's that a cool guy, you know. They're highly collaborative, social, and care about the environment. They value flexibility. One of the dilemmas in the workspace today is employing Gen Zs. I have a few at workspace who come for internship, and they can't imagine working for 8 hours in a day. Like, they ask you a question, by the way, what am I doing today? So today you'll be typing this, this, and this, preparing this list online. Okay, can I just go home? Like, I go home and just submit the result. And we are teaching them a lot of discipline, but that is the mindset. Like, why would they be there the whole day? Yet, such a workspace provides an opportunity for networking, interacting with people, just learning ethics. That is hard for them. So they value flexibility, relevance, authenticity. They want it real. And they don't like this hierarchy, leadership. They don't love being led. I mean, give them what to do and tell them when they want to when you want results, they will comply with that. They avoid high cognitive abilities and are keen on mental health. Mental health is a big one today. They are fearless, of course, except marriage and hot porridge and God. You know, that's when you interact with them, that's what they tell you. So in short, dear parents, I'm just helping us understand that we are in the digital age, but it's important to understand who we are dealing with in the digital age. They're Gen Zs. But number two, they are in adolescent stage. What does that mean? They are going through physiological chaos in the sense that mood swings are very intense and the attitude looks like that of a rotten egg sometimes. Or do I say many times? Physical changes are happening, and this sometimes gives them false confidence, like beards are growing if they're gentlemen. And they feel like, now, at a mini Buddha, I am also a man in this house, you know. Esteem issues are coming through as a result of the physical changes that are happening in the body. Sexuality is at the center of their world. These changes can lead to confusion, insecurity, impulsiveness, arrogance, and instability if they are not well guided. And because we are in the digital space and our parents are busy, in this adolescent stage, they find answers to their challenges in the online space. Just Googling ChatGPT. So how should a teenager behave when they're in adolescent stage? ChatGPT will give everything. And our parents will pick that because they seem to trust the online space than us parents, because at one point or another, we have lied to them before. So they are going through physiological chaos. They are going through identity formation. So the struggle for self-identity is real. They're exploring who they are. Sorry for that. They're exploring who they are, what they believe, and how they fit into this world. And this struggle with self-identity can lead to identity confusion. And identity confusion can make them begin to experiment with many things in life, such as drugs, sex, you know, and this can lead to depression, social withdrawal or isolation, just pulling away from the family and friends when they feel like you're going to judge them because of what they have done. or when they feel like you're going to misunderstand them or you're not going to support what they do. So many times they withdraw as a result. Esteem issues come in, academic challenges, as we have said in the beginning. So they are going through identity formation. They are struggling to find their true self, what they believe, quote unquote, is their true self, away from what they have believed all through since they were born. But they are also exploring individuation. They are trying to separate emotionally and psychologically from parents and caregivers to form their own distinct self. So they want their own space. They feel like your time is up as a parent in my life. It's now my time to be my own man, my own woman. I want to begin figuring out life alone. Thank you so much, dear parent. As a result of this, in this struggle of exploring who they want to be, they can be very expressive. And this normally comes as parents interpret this expressiveness as argument or arrogance. Yet they're just using that as a means of separation from their primary caregiver. And they will be bold enough to give their opinion. They can be very reflective. They think, they want to form their own opinion about issues of life. Like they will question you about faith. By the way, dad, mom, why do you really go to church? Can't you just sit down here and read your Bible? Does God only hear you when you go to church? What if you just sit here and you just read the Bible? They ask you those tough questions which keep you thinking. They want to form their own theology, quote unquote, in the issues of life. At this point, they may sound rude, they may act overconfident, and they may respond with a rotten attitude. As a parent, you must understand that they did not choose to be in the adolescent stage. Every one of us here passed through that stage. But the call for us as parents is to understand them, understand this generation, and find practical ways of helping them so that we don't break them in this stage. I know most of us grew up like military guys. You figure it out alone. No one is there to understand it with you. And somehow you turned out right, and here you are. So sometimes we fear a lot about our young people. But I'm here to assure you, they will turn out right. Some parents have come to us who are at the brink of almost dying. We just have a conversation with them and assure them, and in the next minute, they are laughing. We tell them that take yourself back when you were teenagers. What things did you do that your children have done so far? Then parents realize that they did so much than even what they are seeing in their children today. Yet, in all those things, they turned out to be right. Now, they are pursuing independence. They view parents as enemies of their freedom, independence, and progress in life. And they are pursuing independence in managing their own freedom, managing your finances that you have allocated to them. They now say, this is my money. Their decisions and relationships, they're trying to manage all this. And at this point, they may resist or challenge authority consistently. They may ignore requests or even assignments, and they argue a lot. They want to be left alone, but they crave for parental involvement. You know, they pretend that they don't want you as a parent, but deep inside, they really long for that parental guidance. Now, that is the dilemma of raising a teen. You know, they consider you as their greatest enemy, but deep inside, they really want you. And if you don't help them, they blame you again for not being available to stand and help them when they needed the help. Now, romance is at the center of their world. Internal pressure about issues of sexuality and external pressure, that is friends, media influence, are doing everything to awaken the love in them. So some of them are actually attempting or are in romantic relationships. Like most teens actually have crushes and are in a relationship. and which comes with a mix of excitement and challenges, like heartbreaks, conflicts. They have been shown dust, you know. Recently, we were running a mentorship program for the teenagers, and all of them from 3 and below, they either have heartbreaks, some of them have given up completely on relationships. And I asked them, so do your parents know? For the girls, most of them said that, yeah, my mom knows. But for the boys, nah, no one knows. None of my parents know. Only my friends, some of my friends. So that's how hard they conceal that information. But then they're suffering silently, heartbreaks, conflicts. In fact, we had to create a completely separate session to help those high schoolers deal with heartbreaks and crashes out of our conversation with them throughout that mentorship program. And these are the people in our homes. When you ask them, how are you doing? I'm okay, dad. I'm okay, mom. You know, and because we don't talk much with them, that ends our conversation with our teens. Yet, deep inside, there are a lot of things that are happening. So romance is at the center of their world about relationships. And it's just the characteristic of that age group. So what are their concerns? 5 things quickly. Number 1, our teens are concerned about their image. Do I look cool? They're concerned about their body changes, you know, which impacts their self-esteem and self-confidence. Do I look cool? Body image. The internet shapes this body image. When they go to the internet and they see people, you know, AI has now developed very interesting images that sometimes are hard to distinguish between reality and AI itself. So when they look at those, their friends are creating AI photos of themselves and putting online as the profile photos. And it's like, wow, they go back to the mirror and look at themselves and say, I'm not cool enough, you know? So AI has complicated parenting, especially with the teens. Do I look cool? So a parent has to be intentional to talk about AI with their teens and help them understand that, you know what, these are just manufactured images. But your worth is much more internal than what you see in the external. Identity issues. They are becoming an individual with distinct self away from parents. So they are concerned about their identity. Who am I? Am I unique? You know, what do my friends say about me? Identity, body image. But next, they are concerned about influence. They want to be impressed many times. They are looking beyond parents to peers and media, and this shapes their perception of reality. Am I celebrated? Integrity. Many times they struggle with choices of what's right and wrong. They are facing many temptations, and their personal values and morals are tested. In most cases, they choose facts over faith. Remember where we began? They are Gen Zs, and one of the things is they want facts. This faith thing doesn't make sense to most of them. They want it real. Does it make sense to me? You know? And so the question they ask on integrity is, what do I believe in? And number 5, intelligence. They are concerned about emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and mental health issues. They are figuring out how to manage their feelings. Very intense feelings at this age group of a teen. They are careful about their friends and how they fit in their friends' worlds. You know, they are grappling with many things in their mind, from family issues to personal issues to school issues. So a lot of things are happening. Some of them are coming from complex families with different dynamics. Maybe a family where a divorce has happened and they're asking tough questions. So why did my dad and mom separate? That's a question I'm asked several times. There's a teen recently who came to me when we were doing a mentorship in one of the churches and sent me specifically to the mom that, Steve, I would want you to talk to my mom. I want my dad back, but mom does not want my dad back. So can you talk to my mom so that my mom can allow my dad back? Now that's a teen. Then I asked the mom whether they have ever had a conversation about divorce and what happened with this teen, because as a teen, they are looking for answers. And if we lie to them and they later on realize the truth, then they will never trust us. So it's better to tell them the truth because that is the truth. So I asked the mom, please share the truth of what happened and help your teen understand why it had to happen. And please emphasize that that is not the ideal and model them to do it the right way. So if we are not careful about the mental health, the impact of mental health in our teens as a result of the issues they are going through, then we may easily lose them. A number of times also, when we have these mentorship programs, teens have opened up, and a few have even shared suicide notes that they have prepared in advance, ready to present to the parents and disappear. They want to commit suicide about certain issues. When they try talking to parents about these issues, the parents don't want to hear and understand them and to listen to them. So they opt to online space. And there's a child who had Googled step-by-step ways of committing suicide. And it's there in the online space, how to commit suicide without anybody knowing. The online space will give you everything. And these teens are aware. They also know which drugs to take so that you can die silently. They know a lot. So dear parents, let's be very careful of how much we engage with our teens so that we do not cause pain that can lead them to a space where the only option is to think about suicide. A reflection question here. Do you think you fully understand your preteen, teen, or young adult? In a scale of 0 to 5, where 5 means, yeah, I understand my teen perfectly. 0 means, where I need help. Let's put it in the chat box. Do you think you fully understand your teen? But again, also, let's talk a bit. Let me stop sharing. Any parent who's confident here to just raise up your hand and just respond instead of the chat box. Others can respond in the chat box. But as for you, anyone, do you understand your teen? And give reasons why. I'm giving 2 slots to anyone who is willing to respond. Just unmute or just raise up your hand and sit and give you a chance. The rest of us, you can put it in the chat box. I am seeing people responding there way struggling. I am at 2, I am at 3. In a scale of 0 to 5, do you think you fully understand your teen or preteen or young adult? Anyone who's willing to unmute and share, what's your experience? Let's talk a bit, parents. Any hand? What's your experience with your teen especially? Going once, any hand? Anyone would want to unmute and speak? Jemima, confirm that I can be heard. People are so quiet here.
I can mention maybe one thing I have noticed for me, my preteen. This is Rachel. So he's now 12, Keegan. I'm sure you know him. So right now he's very quiet. When you ask him anything, he will say, I'm good. Just one word, it's okay. I'm fine. And Keegan used to be quite outspoken and jovial and all all over the place. Right now, he's in his own space, I would say. So it feels like, for me, I'm wondering what happened. What happened? Is it the detachment that you're talking about, or it leaves a lot of questions? Did I do something wrong? Yeah, so that's how I feel.
Thank you. Thank you. I can hear you. And I know the young man, and for sure, I can confirm what the mom is saying. The answers are so brief. When we started the mentorship, he would talk a lot. But since he went through a certain process, his answers are very brief. But Rachel, let me encourage you. There are some sessions when we open up conversation away from the topic and we are talking about issues of life. He speaks and asks questions. So he does speak, Rachel. I know him so well, but it's just a stage. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for confirming that.
All right. Anyone else who'd want to share something about your experience with your teen or preteen, young adult? Do you fully understand them? Let me look at the chat box briefly. So
We have one who unmuted. I don't know
Yes,
if they want to share. Toma Bovo.
No.
All right, sorry. There's Mutete.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on the response of Steve.
Mutete, we can barely hear you. Are you able to move closer to your microphone?
Hello?
Yeah, that's better.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on your response that a young man is okay. Of course, that is the prayer of all of us that our young people are okay. But my question is, why is it that when it comes to talking to you, he talks, but then pale nyumbani amenyamaza? Are you saying that there is no, I mean, you cannot be encouraged also to talk to the parents, because I think it is also not very easy when your child is not talking anymore and they are talking out there.
I hear you. Thank you, Mutete. Thank you for that. Now, I'm going to respond to that question, part of it in the next phase of the presentation as we come towards a close. But if I don't fully respond to it, I'll surely have noted it down. I'll ensure we respond to it. Thank you. Now, I can see a number of responses here. Judith says I'm at 3. I'm at 2. I'm struggling. I am at 2, maybe 3, 3. 3, I understand them, but there are moments I really wonder what's going on. Esther is at 3. My preteen says I do not understand him, especially when I ask many questions according to him. He hates being asked questions. Answers in monosyllables is 13. Jane, to be honest, I do not understand my young adult. I'm hanging on God to do a miracle. I hear you, Jane. Grace, it's an interesting period oscillating between mood swings and joyful splashes here and there. If asked to do a task with, wait, I will do it. That's the response. At least you can begin to connect what I am talking about, that sometimes they look at you as a parent as their worst enemy. It's just a stage in life that just needs guidance. But let's continue and see whether we can respond to some of those concerns and questions and responses. So let me share back my screen so that we do the last phase of this presentation before we open it up to a few more questions. Oh, just a minute. Let me reorganize my screen better. Okay. Now, this is you, parent. I've not captured all of us, but averagely a parent of a teen falls in this category. Now, this is you. You're trying to understand a Gen Z, to parent a Gen Z. And we are trusting God that God may come through for us. So you are either Gen X or a baby boomer. What are the characteristics? You are independent, skeptical, self-reliant, not so idealistic, but pragmatic, resourceful, adaptable, and resilient in a rapidly changing world. You value work-life balance. You're often seen as the bridge between analog and digital. For baby boomers, they have a strong sense of community. They have a civic duty. You know, they love, most of them work for government, but things are changing. Volunteerism and social activism. You find a mom is in 10 chamas, which is a very good thing. Resistance to change, a very big one in social norms. It's either your way or no way at all. Optimism and competitiveness. It's a season of buying cars, you know, holding on to traditional values. They value personal growth and success. So they register in so many programs, which is a very good thing. And especially moms, they have a strong work ethics and often defined by their careers. So this kind of a parent is parenting a Gen Z. For those who have just joined us, you look at yourself this way, and this is the person you're parenting. I'm going back to the slide on Gen Zs. So this is the slide on Gen Zs. Where is it? Yes. The one who only fears marriage, hot porridge, and God. They are fearless in every other thing. This is the kind of person you're trying to parent. And of course, the dynamics are becoming different every day, shaping who they are. And of course, even the current ones that are coming up after the Gen Zs, the Gen Alpha. And so, let me go back again, fast forward. Why do they fear opening up to you as a parent? This maybe will answer some of the questions and concerns that we have. So number one, the teen is too embarrassed to share. Because we have not created a culture where they are free to share. So they can't imagine. I remember in my family, we never talked about anything to do with relationships, sex, sexuality. That was a taboo. How do you even mention the word sex? Yet, I remember I had a girlfriend. We were not doing anything, but I was just happy out of peer influence that I had somebody I could call a girlfriend so that I could fit in a group. When we meet, I would hardly say anything. But I had one because of the social pressure. So our teens are embarrassed to share because of the environment that we have created at home. The child is worried of what will happen next. Some of us, the home looks like a military camp. A child becomes honest and authentic to share something, and the next thing is beating. Why did you do it? You are so weak, you're useless. The kind of words we speak make them never want to open up and share anything again. And by the way, our teens are mostly in point B. The ones I've interacted with, they tell me that, Steve, I'm sharing with you on condition that this information will never reach my parent. Because when it reaches them, the kind of reactions I'm going to see, like a girl was telling me that the mom did not talk to her for like a week because the mom learned that she has a boyfriend. Yet, the first person that girl should be very proud to share this information with is the parent. And the parent should have strong emotional intelligence to know how to handle the girl. But then it comes to a space where the girl is more confident to share with me, an external person, with strict instruction that this should not reach my parents. I will die in that home. Now, the child doesn't consider the parents as good role models. Some of us parents, we are not good role models at home. I normally ask a question during this during the mentorship programs, a very simple questions like, so teens or preteens or whoever, write for me 3 names of people that you consider as your role models in life. Do you know less than 20%? 20% is even more. Less than 10% mention the names of their parents. And of course, you remember where I began, they consider you as the worst enemy because they feel like you're infringing into their freedom. They need to move on. As much as you try to guide them, they think like you're infringing into their freedom and rights. And it's very okay. I mean, even me. Nowadays, I am more conscious and more reasonable enough to look at what my parents have done, the journey that they have walked through, and I understand that they are not perfect people. But the things that they have done and the effort that they have put in raising us up have made me consider them as my heroes. They are not learned, by the way. My dad dropped out in class 3. My mom dropped out in Form 2. And they are my heroes because of how they used the resources that was available for them to raise us up. And by the way, we are many in my family. The children of my father who I know are 24. My mom has 11 of us, and I am born 9 out of 11. And 16 out of 24. So far, the information I have about the children of my father. So let's go back. The child would rather sort it out himself or herself because we do not have a culture of authenticity at home. And the child fears past experiences like, they don't want to revisit the wounds that are still healing because of maybe an information that they shared with you as a parent. Sometimes they're still healing or they're so traumatized with how the experience was when they shared what they are going through at some point that they don't want to share again. But sometimes they have inner struggles, relationships and crashes and breakups. So they are going through a lot at personal levels, and at that point, they don't want to share. And this calls for patience as a parent. And this calls for self-evaluation as a parent. How have you reacted when your teen or child shared an information in the past? Have you contributed to them not wanting to share anything with you today? It's for you as a parent to look at yourself in the mirror, but also with understanding that they are going through a phase in life. And also you look at yourself as a parent. Sometimes you fail to speak to your boss, or you speak to your boss, you give half information simply because of something that you're going through. They are also human beings. But nonetheless, we are stewards and we must create an environment where the first people that these teens or preteens or young adults would want to share information with is you as a parent. It's possible to create that culture. And remember, there is no vacuum in parenting. You either do it or someone or something else is doing it for you. There's no vacuum in parenting, I repeat. You either do what you need to do as a parent, or someone or something else is doing it for you. And for us in this context of this session, the online space is quickly replacing parenting. If a parent is not careful, the world outside there is available 24/7 through the online space to parent. So why do teens feel more comfortable online than with parents? Number one, they view online space as an ideal life. Like the online space presents ideal life. You look at people, the way they are doing well in the online space, the way marriages are doing well in the online space until you come to reality on the ground. So our teens don't understand that. Well, some of them have experienced it at home, but when they look at the online space, that's the ideal life that they're looking forward to. Now, online space offers safe coping space from the pressures of life. When there's an issue at home, the parents look so harsh. What do? They immerse themselves in the online space to find answers and comfort. Now, online space has quick, perfect answers that fit what their ear wants to hear at a particular time. A teen is going through depression, online space. How can somebody feel good when they are going through depression? ChatGPT will give a whole literature. Some of that literature is appropriate. Some of it is not appropriate. But at that point, they hardly filter. And if they happen to filter, they filter what speaks to what they want to hear. And that is where we have the high rate of suicide. I work again with the universities and colleges, and some of the universities and colleges within Nairobi, we have deaths every other time. It's only that it's not reported. People are committing suicide right, left, and center. And when you go to their gadgets, you find that they actually Googled how to commit suicide without anyone knowing. Quick, perfect answers for the circumstances that they are going through at any given time. And why? At home, they would rather bottle it up than share with parents. Online space does not judge, blame, or look down on. But when I go home, my parents will judge me. They will look down on me. They will beat me. So they go to the online space, which feels safe, quote unquote. Now, online space has the time and has all the time. Our reality is we are busy looking for money. And it's a good thing to look for money. But there's a danger when pursuit for money replaces parenting. We will get all the money, a lot of it, but lose the children. There's a parent who consulted a while back, and we had a long conversation, and he's a dad. So this dad was so stressed, and he came to us in the mentorship program. We have therapists in the organization. And so the dad is asking, I'm so stressed, man. I'm here with my university going children, and I've been looking forward to them coming home. But when they come home, Dad, hi, how are you doing? I'm fine. Then that's the end of the conversation. Everybody's in the house, but everybody's on phone. Everybody's chatting with their friends, and nobody's talking in the house. Dad also has not bonded with the children, so he doesn't know what questions to ask about a young adult other than hi. So the dad comes and is asking, Steve, so how do I navigate this complexity? I want to get into the world of these children. In other forums, the children open up and tell us, man, my dad looks like a stranger to me in the house because we have never bonded. He comes late, he goes so early, he's not available during the weekends. So I have never bonded with my dad. So I even don't know how to approach him. Oh, this is a teenager. This is a young adult. At the point when they need your advice on issues of life is the point they realize that you are a stranger to them. So what happens? They go to the online space to look for that advice, or they look for other people who are willing to lead and mislead and take advantage of them. So the call here is for us parents to be intentional to get into the space, the world of our teens. Now, there's a book I recommend to all of us. I don't want to go to the details because of time. How Children Raise Parents by Dan Allender. You can note it down. And if you can access it, please look for it. How Children Raise Parents. The art of listening to your family. And a few things, children expose your weaknesses as a parent. Children will expose your fears, will expose unresolved issues in your life, like the wounds that you are carrying. Children will expose how impatient you are. Now, I love these words by Dr. Stanley Mukolwe, a good friend of mine and a mentor. Children do not cause you wounds. Children reveal the wounds inside you. And children is a strategy of personal discipleship to a parent. Children will disciple you. And if you're willing to be discipled, if you look at how your children, you interact with your children and I don't know how to put it in Swahili, the kind of pressure they put you in, most cases you'll realize that it's a pressure that will call you to plan yourself better. It's a pressure that will call you out to be honest. It's a pressure that will call you out to be a good role model. It's a pressure that will call you out to be authentic. It's a pressure that will call you out to apologize when you have done a mistake, so that they know how to apologize when they have done a mistake. It's a good pressure. But most of the time, we don't listen to any of that. This child is the worst that God allowed my way. There's a parent who once told me like that. I laughed and told him, no, told her, she was a mom, that no, relax. Let's sit down and start. So what are the issues? By the way, we went through issues one by one, and the parent looked at herself in the mirror and said to me, Steve, thank you that we had this conversation. I need to change. It's not my children to change. So get this book, How Children Raise Parents. Let's move on and finish. So we finish with this. What do they need as a result? Now that we have seen who they are, we have also seen ourselves. So what do they need? Number one, they need outlets. Now, your teens needs outlets for the release of that intense energy. This could be in the form of physical activities, sports, music, swimming, hobbies, good friends to hang out with. But what the principle here is, they need outlets. And if your child is too much indoors, sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes as a parent, you should be worried, because there is something that is taking that energy. And from my experience, especially for boys, pornography as a good way of taking that space. So give your children outlets. And this is also a personal discipline to you as a parent. Hang out with them. One day, just decide, or just block some weekends. I mean, just few hours. That today we are going to Karura Forest as a family, or with your teens. Go and hang out, ride bike together. Let them release that energy. And then in the process, you're bonding. Oh, dad can also play. Oh, mom can also play. Oh, I thought my mom was perfect. Kumbe, he or she's not perfect. Outlets, they are for bonding much as they are for releasing that intense energy. Now, understanding this season is inevitable, and it's not their choice, by the way. So those teens need guidance, unconditional love, mercy, forgiveness, and grace. Parents, I repeat, your teens need forgiveness and grace. They are going to make 1,000 mistakes. They will teach you how to forgive. They will teach you the concept of grace. Unconditional love. Christ demonstrated it while we were still sinners. Christ died for us. How much more then should we demonstrate that? As we discipline, we must demonstrate grace. If we choose to forgive, we must demonstrate grace. So there's a book I'm reading currently, Fatherhood. And one of the things that I'm loving is the concept that our discipline in the parenting journey should be centered on love. So if you choose to discipline in the way of punishment, the center of everything you do should be love. Do it with love. But what else do they need? Our teens need boundaries. They crave for and desire structure. And beyond the attitude is a desire for the safety of adult-informed boundaries and guidance. They desire independence and they're pursuing it, but as a parent, be intentional about structure, especially for boys. If you don't put up a structure, a system on how to do things, then nothing might happen, or many things may happen that are not relevant. Boundaries, community. They need to do life in a safe community of other teens. Right now, as Candid Hope, we are handling a number of children in small groups, from chamas, from moms who know one another, just friends coming together. And they're saying, by the way, we have been friends, but what about our children? And oh, they are of the same age group. Why don't we organize something for them? So right now we have 3 groups running of parents who have just come together. They say, well, we have our own sessions as parents, but why don't we also have something for our children? And some of them, they say that this month we are meeting in my home. Next month it's your home. Next month is your home. Before it comes back to me, rotational meetings like that, as a way of also bonding and ensuring that these children grow together in a safe community. Something to consider, I do not know, but they need a community. Now, be careful about sleepovers, dear parents. You may be doing everything right, but when they go out for a sleepover, you do not know, you are not sure the structures and the discipline status of the other children. Most of our children have been recruited into pornography, masturbation through these sleepovers. Sleepovers are good, but as a parent, do your work. Let your child know that, by the way, I can come for you anytime during the night. I am there to support you, but if you mess up, then we will talk about certain rules. But again, before it comes to that space, one of the recommendations is when you want to allow your child to go out for a sleepover, agree first of all on rules together. As a parent, don't impose your rules on the child. It's not recommended that way. The recommendation is discuss the rules together for ownership. When you discuss the rules together, the teen tends to own the rules than when you just say, okay, James, you're going out for a sleepover. This is the condition. What if we say, okay, James, oh, thank you that you want to go for a sleepover. All right, I would want us to meet so that we discuss how that looks like. So when A, B, and C happens, what do you think we should do as your parents? If we hear A, B, and C happen, what do you think we should do? By the way, from your assessment, James, what are some of the dangers that can come with this sleepover? They will speak. And through that, you agree on rules and you make life easier. They need other voices. Those cool uncles, coaches, teachers, mentors like myself, especially on those sensitive topics that as a parent, you may not have the confidence to share. We are encouraging you as a parent to share, especially issues to do with sex conversation. If I asked a question here, how many parents normally engage with their teens on sex matters, a conversation on sexuality, very few would say that they do that. But it's your responsibility as a parent. But in a scenario that is hard to come by, you have tried your best and it's not working, why don't you bring other voices? And sometimes as a parent, you have done it and the teen seems not to change. It is allowed maybe to talk to one of these guys. Maybe you say, all right, oh, Uncle James is going to take you out, by the way, for a sleepover. So today you are going to Uncle James' place. But as a parent, you have already talked to that Uncle James and say, Uncle James, this young man is coming. Now, I want you to find out whether they have a girlfriend, what they are doing. I want you to find out where they are so that you can say a few things. I trust you. So by doing that, you still manage to communicate what you ought to have communicated as a parent, but through another voice. Many times that helps. And Finally, as a parent, you're a role model. Walk the talk. Monkey see, monkey do. Not much more of what you say in the house, but much more of what you do as a parent. Walk the talk. But you are also a teacher. Principles for life, very important. Emphasize on those principles. The context may change, but the principle remains. You're a coach. You instruct, you direct, and ask prompting questions to bring the best out of them. You're a counselor. Give hope. And of course, you do it with a lot of confidentiality and sensitivity. You're a student. Dear parent, I've just recommended a book. You are not an expert. You learn on the job. You are not perfect. Commit to learn from your experiences and mistakes. Where you need to apologize to your children, let them see you apologize for a mistake you did. They will follow your example. But when they see you do a mistake and umekaa tu ngumu, they will also do that. And they will look at that as the perfect way of life. You are an administrator. Do it with grace and love. You ensure that there is discipline and order in the life of your children and also in the home. How you respond to questions, how they react to others' opinions and answers, you need to demonstrate that, but ensure that they do it as an administrator. So you wear so many hats as a parent. As an administrator, you teach, you emphasize and model issues around time. You know, when you say that we are meeting for prayers at 9, and then you show up at 9:20, what are you demonstrating? And worst of it all, you show up late as a parent with no prior communication that you'd be late and with no apology at all. Then you're teaching your children that, okay, kumbe, I can be late and I never apologize or say anything. Monkey see, monkey do. When you give, now, dear parents, this is important. Your children will take you seriously. When you give an assignment and you follow up, they take you seriously. But when you give an instruction or an assignment and you don't follow up, then they don't take you seriously. If you happen to give assignments, dear parents, follow up and follow the schedule. They will learn from you and do it right. You're a role model. You're a spiritual leader. I don't need to overemphasize this. You're flexible. All right. Be flexible in all these things. If it doesn't go as you had planned, adjust. Negotiate new timelines. Sometimes we have also to be kind to our teams. Like, if they do not meet certain deadlines, why don't you sit down with them and say, all right, why don't you sit down with them and say, all right, well, it did not work as we had planned, but let's see. It's still something that needs to be done. So why didn't you do it? What adjustments can we make so that you can do it next time? And what timeline are we now working with to ensure that you do it? Seek feedback. Very important. Listen to what they like about you, how they wish they parented themselves if they were parent. Like one day just become crazy and say, all right, by the way, if you are in my shoe as a mom, what would you have done right or differently from what I do? You'll get feedback without asking them what wrongs you do. By asking that question, what they would do differently, you will already gauge whether you're doing it right or not, or whether they love what you do or not. When we do parenting retreats, that is parents and their children, one of the questions we ask is, okay, teens or preteens or whoever, write a letter to your parent. What do you appreciate about them? What would you appreciate if they did differently? And then we also ask parents. So dear parents, write a letter to your children. What do you appreciate about them? What do you think they did differently? Blah, blah, blah. By the time we finish reading those letters, a parent is reading from their daughter or sons and all that. The kind of emotions that fly in the air is crazy. Because parents get shocked. I thought I was doing it right. I thought I've provided school fees. I thought I've done A, B, and C. I thought I've done this. Then you realize that, oh no, that is not necessarily what the child is looking for. Whereas school fees is important, the child is longing for your time just to know you. There's a child who came up very, with a lot of emotions and said, I am disappointed, mom, in one of the retreats. So I asked, why are you disappointed with your mother? My mom does not know my color, my favorite color. I am so disappointed. I have been telling my mom like 5 times and she keeps forgetting. Now, that's a mom who works who works in a very senior position, provides every resources that the child needs, and is always confident that, me parenting, I hacked it, Steve. I have hacked it. Do I need to come for that retreat? Then only for the parent to realize that, it's not all about money. The child wants to trust you with the information that they value most in their life. The mom could not believe. All right, let's finish. So, teach your children a few Bible verses, but let me just pick one of them as we finish this. Whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. This applies to the parent, but also to the children. As a parent, the parenting journey should be for the glory of God. The disciplining of our children should be for the glory of God. The way we raise out our children, we do it as stewards. God will hold us accountable. There are resources available for us to improve on how we do it. We have opportunity for us to evaluate ourselves so that we do it better. But the principle is, in whatever we do it for the glory of God. Thank you so much, dear parents. It was a privilege to speak to us this evening. Let me give it back to Jemima. Welcome, Jemima.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve. I can see some wonderful comments there in the chat box. We have recorded the meeting. I think you'll get in touch with the person who's invited you. We will share it out to the different groups, or if not, you may be able to reach out to the admin. I'll put up the contact in the chat box for that. So I see we already at 9:06. We like to honor God in keeping our time. I don't know if you can allow us maybe to just push it to 9:10 to see if we can tackle any pressing question, maybe one or two if possible. But thank you so much, Steve, for sharing your insights. I believe from the comments, you can see the parents are saying they've learned, very insightful. Yes, so I don't know, do we have any pressing question before we close the meeting? Do we have anyone who'd like to speak up? Let me see. In the chat box, I see a conversation about sleepovers, which I think will be tackled maybe some other time. But yeah, I think it's important just to make sure that we have done our due diligence. And of course, our perspectives are different. And we know, of course, we've seen different conversations around that subject. Yeah. So do you have any question?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So you've seen normally parents take kids to boarding mostly when they are 14, 13, when they go to secondary school. And that has been, most people have gone through boarding at that age. Is it a way for parents to run away from this stage of children? And what do you think are the negative implications of kids going to boarding at the time when they are themselves also going through a lot, trying to identify themselves or get to know the identity? And generally at that stage, what is the negative implication of kids going to boarding? Over.
Thank you. Steve, I hope you got that. You may share.
Thank you. Actually, we have a webinar coming up soon. There's a speaker who is from the Ministry of Education. She's a good friend of mine. She's in the quality assurance, and she would really want to highlight about boarding schools and the strategy of the ministry. Actually, the strategy of the ministry is to do away with boarding schools. Now, why is that happening? I was curious to ask her about that, and she said that from where they sit, the push this season is positive parenting. And the government is keen on ensuring that as much as possible, parents have direct contact with their children. So from the analysis, being a quality assurance person, they have noted that whereas most boys and girls get formed in terms of character and responsibilities in high school, in boarding schools, there's a lot that also happen in those boarding schools. And they are talking about the infiltration of extremism in our schools. They are talking about the issues of gender and sexuality, where we have gayism and lesbianism, which is very rampant in our schools. They are talking about devil worship. They are talking about many other things. And according to the ministry, these issues can be handled at home, or they would not exist if the child were with the parent, coming from home, going to school, and coming back. Now, there are also these realities that as parents, we are working and the context is a busy one. We need money to ensure that they go to school and we put food on the table. And some of our work dynamics may not allow us. And the other dynamic is also the issues of trust with house helps. Some of us, we have gone through all experiences with house help, so we no longer trust anyone with our children. We would rather take them to a boarding school where they are there most of the time and come back. So the dynamics are different. Whereas there are also some parents who confess that for them, they would rather take their children to high school. Huyu mtoto amenichosha akiwa hapa nyumbani, acha aende huko boarding school, akae huko, so that akikuja we interact briefly, arudi huko. So they are all dynamics. There are some parents who use boarding schools as an escape mechanism for the challenges at home or for the things they need to sort out, which they have not sorted out. But there are so many others where the dynamics of life may not allow them continue with work and at the same time have children at home. So, it's two ways. But then boarding schools have also negative implications, whereas there are positive implications, but there are also some negative implications. Like I know of also parents who have decided to homeschool because of some issues that the schools had, a boarding school somewhere, which I will not mention here. There are also cases where those things I've mentioned, like lesbianism, gayism. By the way, lesbianism and gayism is very rampant today in our boarding schools. It's a crisis. I work also in partnership with the NAT, and some of the issues that come are so crazy. So some of these issues are real, and as parents, the call is for us to do as much as we can to ensure that we are connected with our children. Whether the dynamic allows you to do boarding for a season, but the whole idea is, what's the motive as a parent from where you sit? And if you can still survive without the job, but take your children with yourself, that would be recommended. And also to summarize that, you see also there's a push right now for government to close down children homes. Why? Because they have noted that there are so many children who have families, but because some of the parents are not responsible enough, or they do not want to take responsibility to raise their children, the family is capable of supporting the children, but they decide to take the children to a children's home. So from the analysis of the ministry, they have said that they are closing down most in a progressive way of the children homes that are residential, so that maybe they only interact with children on occasional basis, like maybe when they need maybe a 3-day training. So they come for that center, a 3-day training, then they go back to their parents. So they believe that the children homes can still support while you are with your parent or a relative or somebody who is close to you, so that parenting is made intentional. So I hope I've tried to answer that, but it can go either way. Thank you. Back to you, Jemima.
All right, thank you so much. I see time is gone, but there's one question that I think you can cover, which is sort of related. Maybe we can combine. There's one who's mentioned when you're dealing with a withdrawn child, how you can handle that. Let me see. How do you bring the child back who is withdrawn and always wants to be alone? And another one also just seconded that they're going through that. Of course, there's also another one who said, could you handle white teen response in undertaking a task with a word wait or something? So you can try and cover that. And then I think after that, we will close it up. If you have any questions, of course, for the recording, once to be ready to be shared out in the different WhatsApp groups. But if you will have any question, you can reach out to the admin. I've put up the contact in the chat box. But I hope you got the questions that I tried to bring up. I think they're almost related, but okay, they're sort of different. But there's one about withdrawal that you can tackle, and then mention maybe the attitude towards work and how you can handle that. Yeah. Thank you.
I can see the question on withdrawal, and it's a question we handle many times in the mentorship journey that we do. How do you bring the child back who is withdrawn and always want to be alone? So number one, withdrawal could be part of the season they are going through, the adolescent stage. So sometimes we don't need to really push ourselves so hard as parents, especially when a child is withdrawn, because it could be that they are just going through the adolescent stage. However, that should worry us, so that we seek to establish whether it's the adolescent stage or it's a different matter altogether. But number two way we can handle that is to find out for us, because we take them through a sort of therapy, we get deeper. And sometimes we just ask a child who is withdrawn, by the way, can you draw something that makes you happy in life by just drawing? So they pick a pen and a paper, they draw something, and then we ask them, by the way, at the back of that page, can you draw something that makes you so mad? Then you find them drawing dad, drawing mom, and drawing crazy things. Then you ask them, by the way, how does picture one makes you mad? Such and such a thing is happening. My parents have done this, so I feel so, I don't want to talk to them. Blah, blah, blah. Then by that alone, we have already known that, this withdrawal could be coming from this source. Then when we get to know that, then we engage it from that point. So it requires a lot of creativity, because the same child, if I came outrightly to ask, by the way, why do you look withdrawn? They will withdraw even further. So it matters a lot how, as a parent, you want to engage so that you find out what's happening. If you sense that as a parent, if you ask that question about withdrawal, then they are likely to block, then you are allowed to use a second voice. And for us in mentorship, we are always a second voice to so many parents. A child comes and we interact over time. and the parents give us clues on what we need, what's happening, and what we need to really investigate so that we help them understand. And in most cases, we are able to get to a space where at least we find the cause of those withdrawals. So the short answer to that is, as a parent, one, look at yourself in the mirror. Be honest with yourself as a parent. Could the source of withdrawal be you as a parent or the family environment? But then number two, ask about their friends. Be intentional to know the friends your children hang out with. The withdrawal could be maybe some experience that is happening in their circle of friends. But also, if it's a lady, be sensitive to the season when it's their periods and master the pattern, because I mean, somehow you can master the pattern when they're approaching the period or they're in that season, they're moody, withdrawn, what, so that you don't confuse. Sometimes you could be dealing with a biological thing and beating yourself for no reason as a parent. So the best would be, if you cannot do it yourself, then involve an external person. This could be a therapist, this could be a counselor, this could be a mentor to help you find out why the child looks withdrawn. But above all else, the person who transforms the heart of a child and any other person is the Holy Spirit. So what do I mean by that? Pray for them as we seek to use the resources that God has allowed with us to help investigate what's happening in their lives. Jemima, I don't know the other question. I can't see it.
It was, I think, just a relation to just the attitude towards work, because they were saying, how do you deal with a child who, when you tell them to do something, they say wait or something like that. So could you handle wait in response in undertaking a task with the word wait? Yeah, and I see other questions are coming up, but I don't think we'll be able to cover them. But hey, yes.
Yeah, the one where you give a teenager, especially teenagers, that's very common for teenagers. When a teenager, you assign work or a responsibility or maybe house chores to a teenager, and they don't do it immediately. They tell you to wait, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. And if you continue pressing, they can either decide to do it haphazardly for the sake of it, or they may not do it at all. Now, that's a very unique characteristic of the teenage season of life. And it's a question we encounter many times. And one of the ways, I love a response from one of the parents on, there's a dad who shared on how he manages that situation because he doesn't want to beat the boy. So the dad came up with a unique strategy. The dad said, all right, for every responsibility that you accomplish, I give you points. So it was sort of a competition in the house. So anyone who will compete perfectly or near perfectly, the responsibility I assign or we assign as parents, we will give you points. And the end result is, whoever will have the highest points, there is a reward. Now, the dad says that changed the I will do it to, dad, where is more responsibility so that I can do it? Because they want more points, because they know a reward is coming. They are being taken out maybe to a museum or something like that, or being given some pocket money. Whereas that looks like a bribe. I know some parents would say, but that's a bribe. But again, it's a way of motivating them to work. Now, when it gets into them, the dad has to clarify that, by the way, I'm not bribing you. I'm just motivating you to do this work. But I'm only motivating you for a season. Beyond this season, I want to see you carry on that responsibility going forward. Now, what do I mean? Be creative on how you engage with the teens. The reason as to why I highlighted who they are into details is for us to understand how sensitive, how delicate they are, so that we are more creative on how we deal with them. We cannot parent this generation the way we were parented. Most of us, our parents were the Constitution. What the parent says cannot be questioned, cannot be challenged. It's yes and amen. Whether you understand it or not, whether you agree with it or not, that was it. Now, this generation, they will want to understand. Now, change as a parent, reason with them, make them understand why they have to do it, why they have to do it at that time, why they have to do it that way. It's a lot of work, but I assure you parents, the only way to hack this generation is when we get into their world to understand them and reason with them. Otherwise, they will do it for you. And then the next thing is they are hanging in the toilet. They have committed suicide. So we have to be very creative, very patient, but ensure we are very firm and principled on how we engage with them. Then, Jemima, let me just read the last chat there from Dr. Faulata as I close. I took my daughter for a teens camp. When she returned, she wants to quit school, claiming the pastor told her she's special and doesn't need to finish school. How does a parent handle that, especially when the said person refuses to speak to the mother or child to refute the claim? Of course, I would have loved parents to react to that. But the truth is, if a pastor clearly says that the child doesn't need to finish school, then that's a serious matter. You have to engage the pastor to find out why. Maybe the child misquoted the pastor. There are so many things. It's important to dig the truth. Maybe the pastor was just passing a joke and the child picked it up as the gospel truth. Maybe it was genuine that the pastor said outrightly that, hey, you're made in the image and likeness of God. You do not have to finish school, blah, blah, blah. And if the pastor did that, then that's heresy and that's wrong theology. And therefore, as a parent, the soonest you can, get yourself away from that space because you do not know what else has been taught to your children by the same pastor. So your judgment, as a parent, always, God has blessed us as parents such that the conscience will always tell us what to do in any situation. And for us who are godly or are praying, God is so careful about children that he will always ensure that for the sake of the children, he has given you as a parent an idea that is going to help the child. So it's us to tune to the Spirit and just ask ourselves, what is God saying about this situation? At the end of everything, we can only advise as mentors and every other person can only advise a parent, but God will always put an impression in your heart that you need to get this daughter out of this, or you need to talk to the pastor, or you need to report to the senior pastor if there's something like that in your context, or you need to report this matter to the disciplinary committee. God will always give you an idea on how to respond to it. But where is it? The sooner you delink, first of all, from the pastor, you delink your child first, then handle the issue, the better. And of course, investigate the kind of theology in that church to see whether it's in line with the Bible. If it's not, then you'd rather get your child out and look for a different place to worship where theology is genuine and authentic. Thank you. Back to you, Jemima. It was a pleasure being here.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. We really appreciate your time and your insights. I believe once the recording is ready, it will be shared out. Thank you, parents, for making time. We really appreciate. We apologize that we have gone way past time, but I believe you have received value for your time. So at this point, I'll just close with a word of prayer and release us. Yes, and then we will hopefully, when you have more of such meetings, we'll notify you in the different, networks or WhatsApp group. This meeting was hosted by Fishers of Men Trainers, Format Ministry, and of course in collaboration with Candid Hope, courtesy of Steve, who is the director. So thank you so much. Barikiweni sana. Let's close with a word of prayer. Father, we are grateful. We thank you so much for this moment that you have given us to just gather together and learn. And we thank you that you have, through your servant, Steve, you have made it clear in terms of the different things we need to do based on the generation that we are raising now. And Father, we thank you because these children you have given us to be stewards. And so we are partnering with you. We pray that, Father, even as we apply the things we have learned, that through the Holy Spirit, through your help, you will be able to lead and guide us, grant us wisdom to navigate the season, this digital age of parenting the little ones that we have in our midst. I pray that, Lord, you grant us wisdom and help us to be able to navigate, to be able to bring them up in the ways of the Lord. I pray that, Father, we'll be good stewards and we'll be able to raise a godly generation. And I pray that, Father, you'll be able to help us to not do it in our own wisdom or our own understanding, but to rely on your insight, to rely on your Holy Spirit, and that, Father, we'll be able to do our part and do it well. We thank you and we bless your name for this moment you have given us to just learn and just hear from you through your servant. We pray that, Father, even as we depart right now and go ahead our lives, that, Lord, you shall bless the work of our hands. You shall give us a good night's rest, and that, Father, you'll be able to be with us in everything. We commend ourselves to you, and we ask that you shall have your way. All this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.